Oh gosh.
Okay, now it says live.
Now it says live. You were live.
So cool. Because we were just having a conversation. I thought we were live, but we weren't.
Yeah.
And you know what's important about that? That it makes us realize the difference about on what we're on live or not. What's going behind doors and what's going on the public.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, everybody that's joining us, we just Andres and I were just talking. This is going to be our second conversation live on here. We've never met in person before. We had seen each other's posts a few times, and what he was putting down, I was just like totally vibing with, because it's disruptive and at the same time empowering. It's always leading to empowering the individual. And if it triggers someone, it's like, then they really needed to hear it. Or if somebody's come on the other side of it, then when they see it, they're like, yeah, exactly. This message needs to get out there, at least my experience of it. So we were just talking a little about the show, which spawned because Andres had shared something from the international, what is it? The International
Tribunal of Natural Justice, ITNJ.
ITNJ.
Emphasis on the word natural justice.
Natural justice. So it's a group of individuals that said, hey, listen, there's some natural laws that are happening here. This is what I understand. So correct me if I'm wrong. And anybody that's on, you're going to want to check this out. I'm even going to post. Do I have the link here? Yeah, I think this is, let me make sure I have the right link for you guys. I'm going to post it into the comments so you guys have it as well. And if you're in, come say hello to us. Let us know where you're tuning in from. This is something that Andres shared with me, and it sounded really interesting to me, and I knew nothing about it. But it's a group of individuals that are really experts that come together to say, these are the natural laws, and let's look and make sure that humanity's best interest, nature's best interests are in mind. It's almost like the opposite of what we know as the NWO, in my mind. It's got some of the same themes, like we're going to come together as one, but in service to humanity versus, well, whatever they're doing.
Profit making versus profit making is very important to differentiate what leadership is, independent from profit making. This guy's structure is one that they don't make one single dollar. Actually, the total opposite. They have to pay and put time, attention, money, and tears into these projects. So you see, profit is the word that differentiates, these two structures.
Yeah, and they have some really interesting people on this. There was David Steele, who was it? David Steele. I think it's David Steele, or it's another Steele.
I only know one name in the group that I could
Sasha Stone.
And there's Sasha Stone. Yeah, our leader. we gotta talk about what the hell do I mean with our leader and see what leaders are there, who are they, why should we? That's a subject.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a big piece of what's happening right now is this idea of sovereignty. So leadership is becoming something that I think everybody's getting to have in their own identity and being able to take their own sovereignty. This group, however, former FBI spy in it, so he knows a lot of CIA spy. He knows a lot of what's going on. You have Sasha Stone, you have Sean Stone, who's done a lot of documentaries about human rights and big activists in that. Other doctors on this. Thomas Brown is putting a white paper out about the effects of 5G and coronavirus. So you definitely want to watch this link if you've never seen it. It's an hour long, just for perspective. But I think, Andres, what we were talking about in the beginning of before we went live here, so you had some things in this landscape where massive people are awakening, their minds are being blown, there's chaos, there's fear, there's love, there's all kinds of stuff is coming out that we've never seen before. There were some things that you saw trending that were happening and ways to navigate them and ways to navigate in this new space where pretty much anybody can be right.
Yes,
any reality.
We're all right. We're all right. We all hold our own truth. So this is a moment that we're rarely put on, which is to compare truths. And where is the source of the truth, if there's such a thing? And how can we actually communicate that produces value and union, and instead of the opposite. Since we all think different, has different perspectives and sources, it is it's very easy to just fight and just block everyone that disagrees with me. And you see, but this is for us to learn about those. So I want to share a couple of points that I've observed that are very important to just be shared here, which is
yeah. And if you're watching, like, have you seen this? Like, have you seen this where you didn't agree with somebody's opinion, or somebody didn't agree with your opinion and they lashed out at you, or did you lash out at somebody else in a certain way when you didn't agree with what they were putting down? And maybe later somebody saw another perspective. Just drop in your thoughts on this topic as Andres talks a little bit more about it.
So I'm going to mention a few points, and let's start with one that we didn't mention, which is the identity. When I'm discussing a subject with somebody and I go with, but I think, but you, and I, and you, it's an identity clash between two to see who's correct. It's very difficult to say I, you. Instead of that, we can just focus on a subject and hold two perspectives. I don't own the perspective I'm sharing. It's just a perspective. I guarantee 5 years ago I didn't have it, and in 5 years in the future I'm not going to have it. So it's just a perspective. If we're comparing a world of servitude, it's not me. It's just the subject. So talk about the post, not the poster. Talk about the subject, not the person. Don't identify with the spiel, with the dialogue, or with the perspective. Is that easy to understand?
Yeah, and actually, one of the things that I worked on for 6 months, I had a piece of paper of all these words. And some of you guys might have seen me do interviews with Nigel Henry on here, and he's got his list of words. And one of the most ticked off words, every time I heard the word, I put a tick mark next to it, was the word you. Every time I said it was you. Because the moment that I'm saying you is the moment that I'm projecting. I'm actually projecting outside of the oneness that I am, and I'm believing you, da-da-da-da. So the classic thing that starts all arguments with people is, but you said, da-da-da-da-da. And it's amazing because it's so often that what I think I heard wasn't actually what was said. And that moment that word but comes out, that's a negator, right? So that immediately walls go up. But you, and then it's like it can feel like an attack. Even when it's a compliment, it's still a projection out of what I'm observing. So it's something that creates a separation. And when we're getting into this 5D consciousness from that perspective, it's about unity. It's about connection. It's about love. So you've got some good ways to navigate this. And
the monks talk about, listen, when you're in a conversation with somebody and there's anger, instead of saying, oh, you're angry, or instead of saying, oh, you're never gonna say I'm angry, you're just gonna fucking lash out. They say, listen, mention there is anger. There is anger. See, because that's the truth. We don't know who's feeling it. Is it just me? Is it both? Is it him? There is anger, right? So that's one method to look at things. All the sentences that begin with you are, they're all false. They're all false. Typical relationship sentence. You are, you this, you that. They're all false. I have no clue. I can talk about me. I feel this. I see that. I decide that. They're true, and they're actually unnecessary because I'm already identifying with what I'm sharing, the content. I'm too involved in this. If I'm wrong, it makes me wrong instead of a perspective wrong. Let's allow everybody to be valid and right. But the perspectives, let's evaluate and learn. We're just sharing about material, about content, not talking about people. A friend of mine tells me, "Oh, but you are so." I already know, bro. We're already locking out. It's not going to. You are.
Absolutely. And one of the ways to just phrasing that I found to kind of get around this and make this a more creative conversation is saying what I think I heard, or I'm detecting, or it seems like there's this energy, and is that accurate? Like coming with more of inquisition instead of a straight out statement. And that invites the other person to say something back to me that's much more clear. And that what I think I heard piece allows somebody to actually hear back. So hear back what was just said, what they had just said, or at least what was heard. and it gives them a chance to rephrase it. So how many times I know in my life that I was in relationships where I was like, yeah, but you said this. And they were like, yeah, I said that, but that's not what I was meant. I'm like, yeah, but that's what you said. And then I would build a case against them to create an argument. And this was like a crux of really all my failed relationships in the past, whether they were friendships or intimate or business relationships. No, but you said, and not even allowing them to become somebody new, like completely stuck in the identity that I had created for them. Because guess what? At the end of the argument, who was right? I got to be the right guy. I was the best litigator in the room. And nobody wins an argument.
We're in the same side of the table. We're in the same team. We're not against each other. If we see it on television and we get used to like conversation is one against the other one, that's toxic. We're in the same team together. Oneness, we're one. My interpretation, I control it. It's not even the other person responsible for. I am the one responsible for my emotions, what I feel, my interpretations, my thoughts and actions. I gotta be responsible for how I feel. I don't gotta put it on the other. No emotional downloads. No. I deal with my emotions. I create them.
And now on the other side, so the example that just happened this morning was I posted something last night because I've been posting more about the different perspectives, the different things that I'm seeing that are conflicting in the media, these weird patterns of when the media, this one in particular was about the media using the same picture for somebody 3 different places and saying that they were the youngest person to die in Europe. And I shared this last night, and I had seen it from a friend that normally fact checks quite a bit of stuff. So I just watched the video. I looked at the images. It seemed plausible. I didn't go and check to see if the articles really existed. Well, this friend went to check, and he noticed that the only way that this person that created the video must have gotten to this conclusion was they were using Google Images.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't find all the articles. But when he searched for it, it showed up in Google Images in a certain way that matched what the video overlaid. So this morning I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go check and see what's really real here, right? And I already was like, I could be completely wrong. I'm not even doing this to make sure I'm right all the time. I'm just doing this to get people to think. I want you to think. I want you to tell me I'm wrong. I want you to tell me when the media is wrong. I want you to think for yourself and be complete critical thinkers. So I'm not attached to being like, well, I didn't create this freaking video, right? Like I just shared it because it's not part of my identity in any way. And while I'm checking to see if these articles are accurate, and I'm finding the sources where they actually are, not in the Google image way or whatever news aggregator this person was using, but actually finding the source of the articles, I'm finding that what he said is really accurate. I'm like, whoa, he's onto something. This is great. Where in the past, maybe there would have been an attack and he might have attacked me or something like that. And I get a message from him while I'm checking this all, and he's like, I didn't mean to stir the pot with all of that or upset you in any way, right? So we, at some point, and this is a normal thing, like we become so conditioned that it's offensive when somebody questions the truth.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's terrible.
And I'm like, I even said this to Emily. I was like, yeah, he apologized for it. And then she's like, why is he apologizing? You should be thanking him. I'm like, I am thanking him. I'm writing him a letter right now. We're going back and forth, right? So the old way would have been a dispute. And now the new way, and this was actually who I was typing when you came on, and I was like, let me just end this conversation, was, oh my gosh, thank you for pointing this out. And we both have a greater perspective. And now we're talking about our kids because he's a new dad too. Okay. So now we're connecting instead of being like, oh, that guy Ian always is posting conspiracy theories, and sometimes they're not right. He hasn't vetted them completely, and sometimes there's maybe some inaccurate information. And I'm like, this guy's always putting me down. Like, that could be an easy. I'm blocking him, right? Which there was another person that did comment on it, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to hear from them anymore. Click. And I'm totally cool. That's totally within my right. Like they just every time I hear from them, it's like, and I think about all my interaction with them, and I was just like, I don't even know why we're even friends, because which is in my sovereign right too. So I kind of play both sides of the coin. It's like, what do I feel like dealing with right now? Does that make sense? Any thoughts?
It makes sense. I mean, yes, when I wish I had my disclaimer all the time on everything I post, because when people come at me, my disclaimer is, listen, I am one that whatever, when I share my opinion, I put my logo, my brand, my name and signature on the thing, like, so that everybody knows that I said that, like it's just branded all over. That's when I post. Now, all the other stuff that I just post, I assume that we're all in the table, and I'm finding stuff and saying, "Oh, this shit's got to be on the table. Look at that. Look at their posting, man. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. Look at that." If I post something about flying donkeys, I'm not saying that there's flying donkeys. I'm saying, hey, people are posting that they're flying donkeys. It's just information to be on the table for us to be able to look at all the craziness. Nobody knows what's going on. Maybe not even Donald Trump knows what's going on. Nobody knows. We can dig forever. Nobody will know. I know people that have been digging for 20 years, Sasha. He doesn't know, nobody. So it's just fucking theories, So if it's your opinion, just put your name on a beautiful package and send it. Everything else is just fucking material.
Absolutely. And actually, even that post, when I shared it, my caption was "nothing to see here." Right? So we got nothing to see here. So the perceiver can now choose how to look at that, like investigate for yourself. That's the idea. Now, alternatively, there was another post that talked about the numbers of COVID, right? And how US has the highest numbers, but percentage population-wise, and it's significantly lower. And then the percentage on testing, which we don't even have that for most countries, it's going to be even smaller percentage. So I wanted to put it in perspective, because the media always uses the top number, right? The top number, like how many COVID cases there are, how many deaths there are. US is leading. Like, I don't know if we have real numbers out of China. Quite honestly, I doubt that we do.
I don't trust any of the numbers. I don't trust any of it. Listen, anybody that has managed the business, like have had a team, or knows that you don't even know the numbers inside your own business correctly. So just imagine the network of hospitals, cities, states, counties, countries, and international and media. Dude, that's not, it's not on there. We're not that good, if we were good. Now, if we were that good, mainstream media is not invested in telling the truth very clearly. They're actually totally invested in telling a different thing, because they know, of course, that whatever they say causes, is pure narcissism. Whatever they say causes results. So since they know that they have the power of which results to get, depending on what I say. If mainstream media were telling the truth, we would live in a circus. It would be really crazy. It would be nuts. If you and me own a golf club, and there's a lot of shit going on in the golf club, there's fights, and we're not going to talk about it in our newspaper. We're going to say, oh, we got a new product today is juices. You know who's the owner of the juice shop? It's my wife. So please buy the juices.
I think the mainstream media is the circus.
Also, yes.
So what's happening now, though, is people are getting educated on their own, and they're looking to these alternative sources, and not just looking outward. People are starting to look inward and actually sharing their opinions. And I think that's what the big piece of what I would like to get out of this is, to just encourage people to step up and share their own thought process, even if they get it wrong. Like, this is the age where we are tapping into our intuition. So, and the intuition has been suppressed for so long. We looked out to outside knowledge. We had to get permission to do this, permission to do that. We had to have all these rules that were mind-made, that were actually mind implanted, to be able to do anything. And then we would attack anybody that was outside of that paradigm. And now we're connecting on a much different level. We're connecting to ourselves more deeply. We're connecting to the people we love more deeply, and to our friends more deeply. And it's a practice of really tuning into the intuition. Like, what does the heart say? What is my heart's intention around that? And I started going through this process a few years ago. And at first, like, it was just a challenge for me to consider what I was going to eat. for the day based on my intuition. Like, or when I sat down for a meal, like I stopped thinking about how much does it cost, what's the nutritional value, what's like all these rules that I had around what time of day it was, what I ate earlier, how much meat did I have already, whatever, these rules that were made up for me, right? And these were made up and I wasn't even aware that they were made up. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start following my heart. What does my heart say?
Yeah.
And I would just pick the thing on the menu that my heart started saying. And sometimes I got sick. Sometimes I got it wrong. In the very beginning, I got a lot of things wrong, whether it was my clothes that I was wearing or it was whatever it was I was doing, because I had these mind-made rules and how it was supposed to be because of my indoctrinated education, my upbringing, the condition that I wasn't even aware that was happening around me because it was all this external forces. It was like the world was happening to me. And as I started tapping into my intuition, I started to realize truth. And then it started to expand beyond just what am I going to eat? What am I going to wear? These basic things. It's like, what's really happening out in the world? What am I perceiving based on what my heart is telling me needs some change? It has to be brought to awareness. And that's what's happening right now is this upheaval of all this darkness is coming to light. All this stuff that people never saw before is coming to light in mass quantities. And it's such a, it can be scary to see that this stuff's happening. And at the same time, it's like, as soon as I see it, then I can clean it. Then I can clear it. I can move on. Then I can make better decisions. So my number one outcome that I would like to see from this video is that anybody that watches it just taps into their heart a little bit more, taps into their own intuition and feels empowered from that. What does the heart represent? Like courage, love, like who doesn't want those, freedom, those three things, like who doesn't want them? Who doesn't want more courage, love, and freedom? And it all comes from the heart, not from the mind. The mind is just like an operating system. It just allows me to function. So back to you.
The programmable mind. That's
Yes.
how animals live, man. Animals don't look at the list of gluten or sugar or, animals just go with the heart, right? Because what else? That's all they got, right? That's what the shaman of the ayahuasca says. Says like, no, throw away all the books. Like, because you just need to know how to love, Totally true and wise, living like the animal, indigo, very indigo too. And the thing is, we humans are so complex and can be so complex and can be so amazing, really, that books I ultimately find useful, of course. But I do get the value of the message of looking at how animals do it, how beautiful they do it, natural, simple, straightforward. I love it especially also because they don't have subjugation systems. They don't have bosses or servants, which is what I see put us here. The big black empire of Star Wars is kind of like that agenda. It's kind of like what's manipulating all of that information that we got. Now we have people looking at screens and videos and nobody knows what's what. And oh my God. And at the end of the day and at the end of the tunnel, there's still not an answer. It's just looking. So when we're mentioning that there's people looking at stuff and learning, yes, I want to invite people to, yes, express yourself. Learn how to express yourself like the real thing, both in public or social media or with your people. Don't stay shut. Don't stay close. Learn how to do it. I've been kind of like doing that, let's say, for a few years, and I haven't learned completely on how to navigate that way. How am I going to tell this guy that I'm in complete disagreement with that and still navigate with harmony into something beautiful instead of ruining our day or our moment? So we got to learn. So yes, go, share, see, watch. I also see people that they're closed, that they don't want to explore or watch. I'm going to call those sheep instead of rabbit. Rabbit goes into the rabbit hole. The sheep don't. You know what sheep do? Sheep do what other sheep do. And I think that's the majority. That's the masses. So to the masses, I think that this time is especially for the masses to what to do? To be rabbit. To go more, to explore more, to take the risk, to go into scary, into unknown. There's nothing to lose. Go out there, and when you need a guidance or a rope, which we all need, just call somebody that your heart trusts, that you can trust, so that you can go into material. Because ultimately, probably society is going through shadow work. It's going through looking at the darkest dark on the whole and to see and clear and process that. Doing that oneself, doing shadow work, is the scariest thing you will ever gonna do, but it's at the same time the healthiest thing you're ever gonna do. What comes out is that you'll find that you're dirty as dirt your dirtiest secret, your dirtiest crap, it's what's wrapping your biggest superpower is right in there. It's right there. It's the perfect balance on off the line, the darkest with the lightest. So yes, do the work. Don't stay close. Don't just eat what the mainstream media tells you. There's a documentary that just can spark you right out of there, which is the one that shows the Nazis went to Argentina and to the CIA in the United States. And in the CIA, the Nazis they knew how to manage minds so much that they knew that the perfect broadcasting system was the TV. So they started programming all programs through all channels in the television, and they just got control through Disney, Hollywood, and mainstream media and news of all the minds. They're actually in the contemporary life. We know, oh, somebody's controlling the algorithm. Listen, they have been controlling the algorithm since the Second World War, where in TV and radio, and nowadays in everything. Yes, there's somebody controlling the algorithm. My invitation to you, the public, is you grab control of your algorithm. See, you control it, stoic. Yes, you control your algorithm instead of don't give it to somebody else's.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a great video. I'll find the link for it and put it in here for everybody, that overlays how the news is done in different local cities and different talking heads, and they're saying the same thing word for word, and it goes back to the programming. It's a show that is programmed. It's programming. It's not their programming for them internally. It's the programming that they're putting out into the world. So the news is a big factor of that. But all of Hollywood is really a set of programming. Because when an image is held in the mind, it comes to manifestation. So whatever I feed my mind, if I look to external sources, I'm going to feed my mind things, and I will create that reality. My friends who have wives that watch the shows where the husband's cheating and murdering them are always in fear that that's going to happen. And they're excited about it, but it's not even happening in their reality. Right? And I hear them like my wife's watching this show the other night and she's freaking out on me and that I'm cheating on her now. Like, of course, but it's actually very real in her reality, right? And I've been in the same place. Like, I choose my shows very selectively of what I'm going to put in. And going through Netflix, it's not easy to find good content. It really isn't. Like, if I want to create my life in a certain way, where am I finding content for that on TV? Like, quite honestly, I'll watch it so I can actually experience drama because I have such an awesome relationship with this woman. Like, we'll sometimes try to trigger each other and pick fights with each other. But like, we'll watch TV because we don't have any of the drama, because drama is entertaining, but it's a choice. It is a choice. And when watching too much of it, like, we know if we start having drama at all in our relationship, like, oh, we've been watching a little too much TV. We've been getting too embedded in that stuff. As soon as we start having any friction here, we know it's because we've been like delivering it, because we've done that shadow work that you're talking about. We dove into the deepest parts of our souls. We share everything with each other and have that union. And that's what I really hope that everybody has that. And I think that it grows beyond just like this divine union that Emily and I have. We have our family, but then we also have our friends units, right? And that's, I think, what you were talking about a lot, is how do I relate to this person in front of me? Instead of making an ad hominem attack, which is that attack, like, I'm not going to believe anything this person says because I didn't like what they said at one point, or I don't agree with them on their political stance, so I can't listen to what they talk about with dietary stuff, or something like that. Or I like what they say dietary, so now I think they're an expert at politics as well. Like, holding on to that identity and talking about that person versus the topic at hand.
This subject that we're mentioning here, it is actually way more important than we think. And I'm going to bring a personal example. My family, my wife and daughter, my family and our home, we disintegrated because of this subject. This is what happened 6 years ago in less than a minute. I did something, she interpreted it, and she left. And she never came back, and she didn't even talk about it. To this day, 6 years after, we haven't even talked about it. See? So You see, she just took an interpretation and left. That's how important this subject is. If the subject can break a family up, it can break any relationship up. So the consequences are serious, man. There's many suicides happening after what happened to me. So yes, man, of course, we got to learn how to relate to each other, how to hold conversation, conflict, disagreement, and differences. Yes, it's vital, man. It's vital. Look at that sad story, bro. My family disintegrated. So I'm happy that I survived that. Of course, it brought gifts for me, but shit, bro. Can you see the magnitude of it?
Absolutely. And that's, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, because our perception of the other person is also a reflection of what's going on inside of us.
Yeah,
So,
man. That's the only thing, actually. It's only a projection.
yeah. So the way I have this little diagram that I usually make. I wish I had it to just share here, but
The two
essentially,
persons?
the I is say it's me, right? Looking out at me, and everything I look out around me is a reflection of me, right? And that reflection, when I see it, it's a perception. So my perception is based on the reflection, but it's actually, that reflection is shown based on what I'm projecting out. So when I'm in that loving state, that giving state, that free state, that gratitude state, the courageous state, I see all of that beauty around me. I see it. And when I'm in the fear state, I'm on the angry state, I will make people out to be the demons that I believe them to be. Because it's my projection that's going out, and then it's reflecting back to me, and I'm perceiving it. So that's how this little hologram works. I don't know if that, can you envision
another example of projection.
There's two.
I'm gonna do a sign. I'm gonna do like this. If I do like this, some people are gonna say like, holy shit, he's fucking me off. Some people are gonna say, yeah, man, the power. Some people are gonna say like union. Some people are gonna say, holy shit, what the fuck is that? Like, let's run. We're all gonna interpret that thing differently. How do we interpret it? With whatever we got inside. So it's by culture. If we do arms up, in some culture, it could be arrested. In another culture, it could be champion. In another culture, it could be help. So we only see what we got inside. That's what we see. We have no clue what's out there, man. Even as I tell you the word love and God, you have no clue what I refer to those words, because you have your own definitions of those words. Different to mine with every single word, especially words like Trump or like, whoa, you see, like, whoa.
Somebody gets upset. Not as much anymore, though. No, not as much as anymore.
Political identity. We got to mention that. Let's not keep attached. Let's not even get a political identity, because once I get it, I got to be attached to it. If in the past I said that Trump was ugly, now I'm going to say, I got to say that forever to not be in disagreement with me, just to make sense. So as soon as we get, and this is the most of the public, I get on a political identity is false. All identities that are outside your skin, they're false. All. See, I used to say my wife, my daughter, my car, my house, my business, they're all outside. That's not my identity, man. They're not even my things. Those are just things out there. They're not mine. Even they begin with the word mine. Don't. Whenever you see you in a conversation, you're gonna find out immediately if the person is pro-Trump or anti-Trump, and you're gonna know how the conversation is gonna go. I invite everybody to detach, man. The guy is neutral, nobody knows what he is, and he's just another player, another character in your movie. You're the main character, really. And just listen and go with it. Don't attach. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm Andres. Sometimes, yeah, because in reality, I'm not Andres.
Right? Like,
I'm the creator, bro. I'm the creator of my creation, of everything, my interpretation.
Yeah, we have a comment from Dawg here, just thanking us, and thank you for chiming in here. And he brings up a really good point. He says, having the greatest conversations because it is safe to share our full, honest truth with our close friends. When we honor our heart connection to exist on an energetic field and simultaneously honor cerebral exploration as being an individual egoic adventure to remain detached from. And I think that's a really enlightened way to say exactly what enlightened things you were just saying. Like,
Please tell this guy to write every day and share the post. He's wonderful with words.
Yeah, and keep putting that message out there, because you got the business little ocean drop, right? And I have to think of the metaphor. Every little drop creates a ripple, right? Every drop creates a ripple. And Doug says, I got it from you guys. Well, you know what? You got that came from your heart. It was your words, and we're all one, right? So I don't think anything. I don't like. It is what it is. At one point, I was this entrepreneur, and I had like the biggest ego. Like I could go get any girl. I could just make so much kind of money. I could do like whatever I was. Won many motocross races. Like I was this motocross professional athlete. Like I had this whole image of who I was. And that's all disintegrated. Like right now, like the whole thing is always claiming my sovereignty, loving my family, making sure I love myself first so I can love my family, and then be able to ripple that out beyond and just always be projecting that no matter what I am facing. And I'm tested. I get tested all the time on this stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And fortunately, I've got my one here to really keep me on track with that. Emily just always like, she'll ask me, who are you being? Who are you being right now? And that reminds me to snap, like, what identity am I choosing? And
beautiful.
I feel very blessed. So if you don't have somebody to do that in your life, I invite you to ask people to call you out and stop with the arguing with people about shit.
We don't got to be right. We don't got to be right.
Question, and they may get offended. Like, but my friend today wrote that post, and then he was scared that I was offended and apologized before I even let him know my response, right? Like, and I wasn't offended, but no more kids gloves. Let's take the kids gloves off. That's like, we don't have to be like people pleasers. Like that is like, it's killing humanity. Like,
yeah,
I can totally be disagreement of you, but you've got a paradigm here and I got my paradigm here. There's going to be parts in your paradigm that are going to serve me better than what I have in mind. So rather than thinking it's yours or mine, maybe it's a little bit of yours too. Maybe there's 2 things from yours, or maybe there's 90 things from yours and only 2 things from mine that I would like to attach to for now, right? Knowing that attachment is temporary. And I can start to look at life in a different way and say, oh my gosh, Andres believes this. And those 12 things actually would make my life better if I was going to believe those too, if I made those true in my reality, in my mind. And Doug, who's on here, he believes this over here. And oh my gosh, there's 15 things there that are going to make my life better if I start to integrate into my paradigm. Now my paradigm becomes collectively more empowered for who I am and what I'd like to create and bring into this world. So the identity is always temporary. It's always temporary because new data sets will come in.
Yes. I love that system where we just throw options on the table until we find the best one. But in order to find the best one, the one and only thing that we definitely got to do is throw options off the table. Whenever designing a theory or something or a chair or anything, I love throwing an ugly design there because that sparks immediately somebody to like put a better one on top, you see? So the only thing that sparks a conversation is material. So yeah, throw material, keep throwing better and better and better. We evolve like that. Perspectives. We don't have to put the names to it. Ian's perspective, Dawg's, Andres's. No, it's just perspective 1, 2, and 3. We don't have to own them so that our egos are a little bit more relaxed with it. You know, we don't identify with them.
Absolutely. And then with that, I'm you, you're me, I'm Doug, Doug is me. Like, so it's 1, 2, 3, DAI, whatever, like we want to name it, call it, just because we're using language to make this new reality come to fruition. So,
yeah.
You know, I posted, I'd seen a post on Instagram and somebody had, it was about the celebrities and celebrities in adrenochrome. And it really triggered somebody, but they were waking up to it and they were really upset. I think that it was that Ellen DeGeneres potentially has this ankle bracelet and stuff. And she asked why people were attacking her in this way and was upset about it. And I wrote something back to her. And it was just like giving her where to get the information, and not actually diving in any kind of perspective on my own. Just start looking here. Go watch Fall Cabal. Go watch this. Whatever it was. And I noticed that a bunch of people attacked her for even asking the question, because they already had seen enough documentaries, enough information to prove the perspective that was being displayed.
Yeah.
So they started attacking her and calling her sheep. But here she's this person that's actually waking up and open to waking up.
Oof.
And it's like the worst thing that we can do.
Yeah.
Is attack the people that are just coming out of this coma, that have been indoctrinated into the system, right? Because you use the term sheep or rabbit, right? So and anybody watching, do you see? Let us know. Do you see, like, it seems like the majority of people out there are programmed in like just kind of robots or victim mentality or comatose or sheep, or do you see that the world's waking up from that, or has it always been awoken? Let us know what your perspective is on it. My perspective is very similar to Andre's. I think the world is waking up in mass. I think it's a much higher percentage of people awake today than it was yesterday. And over the last 2 years, huge awakening of people. I was awoke, like, starting off. I remember being so awoke until my late 20s, and I started drinking quite a bit. And actually, maybe in 30, I started like doing the party thing, and I did this nice descent, like rapid descent into like, and then pop back open, right? So I got to have a little bit of sleepy time, but not. And now I understand why so many people were offended by me. Because I was like, I'm just creating my reality, bro. Like, aren't you? So my point is, though, this woman responded to me and thanked me for this. And you know, in my response back to her was just like actually telling everybody to lay off and stop. Just stop putting down people that might not have your level of awareness yet. They might not have your level of consciousness. And we'll call it levels or stages, whatever. And not that one is better than another. But make sure, I'm just inviting everybody to make sure, like, instead of putting somebody down that has a different perspective than you, invite them, use the Inquisition to show you because they might have something for you. That's
of course they have.
Every one of us, the best teacher on the planet is the person that's standing right before me. And that's why I love this conversation, even if it's just a reminder of what I already freaking know.
That's why they're there.
It's always the one that's right in front of me. Even when I give advice to somebody, I know the advice that I give them, it comes out of my mouth like, shit, I need to do that too. Every time. I'm like, what?
The Celestine Prophecy, a book, it explains that moment. It says, listen, everybody that comes your way, every single person that stands in front of you is there for a reason, and it has a gift for you. And for you to receive that gift, what you got to do is give them love. It's that easy. Everybody that comes in front of you, you give love, you get the gift. That's it. So it's a nice principle, you know, to like think it that way.
I remember reading that book in high school and being like, yeah, like it just spoke to the heart, but the conversation never was happening outside. And when I would share with people, like, no, actually everything's here in front of you to serve you, people would argue with me.
Yeah.
And it's the people and it's the items, the events. And it might just be a contrast thing. Like, I don't want that I don't want more of that in my life. So it may be to show I'd like less of. It doesn't mean I have to always move towards everything. It could be like,
that's a learning.
Step away from that explosion over there. And using that data is always here to serve me. And taking that perspective, the world's happening for me, by me, because me, as me, something like that, instead of it's happening to me. Which I know it's a sheep mindset, like, oh my gosh, everything's happening to me.
Those are the last words in the life of Sean Stephenson. He passed last year. Everything happens for me, not to me. So beautiful, man.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, it's
Sean Stephenson. Do you know him?
No.
His tag was the 3-foot giant because he was 3 foot. He was always in wheelchair. He's tiny. Amazing teacher, man.
Yeah, I'll have to look him up. I've got so many, like, so I got a long list. John Stephenson. If you know a good video by him, please, or anything, please feel free to share it with me. You can share it in the comments here.
Oh, yeah, I gotta share some. Yeah,
I see Dawg is still vibing with us here. I mean, he's got it. We'll get back to his comments a little bit. And guys, comment in if we'd like to bring you as part of this conversation. And I'm totally down if people at some point want to we can have a 4-way conversation about this, up to 4 people at a time on the streaming thing that I have. And I would love to just keep growing this conversation because like Andres was saying, it's not about what Andres says or I say or Doug says. It's about having the conversation happening, and the existence of this dialogue or trialogue or quadrilogue will allow each one of us to grow, and anybody that witnesses it to grow and expand who we are as these creative divine beings that we are. We're not supposed to be slaves, as Andres talks about quite a bit.
because we're not. That's not what we are. Nothing in nature is. There's not a single animal that's a servant of another one. That's just, there was an ego person and just invented a system. Listen, you're gonna do everything I say because I'm superior, and I'm actually gonna own everything that you do. Okay, I'm just gonna pay your bills. You know, so the pact is horrible. The pact is really horrible. The pact is like this. A brief example. Let's say you're on a ship. The ship is 100 people. Who are these people? Your family. 100 people. You got to figure out how much money does each person on the ship earns. So there's the captain of the ship. There's the person that cleans the shit of the ship. There's all sorts of roles, right? Who earns more or less? There's one structure that would be everybody the same. And there's one structure that, no, this guy earns more. Then that begins a vertical structure, which ends up all vertical like this, which is what we have today. Jeff Bezos at the top, or Bill Gates, and we here at the bottom. This is a nasty structure. You know, it manipulates. That's Darth Vader in Star Wars. While this structure, this is nature. This is all animals. This is completely. Those are the two streams, the two extremes of the version.
So you mean it's not supposed to be like I'm supposed to be the boss and I pay everybody the least amount possible? So
there's leadership,
and I can whip them if they don't, and I get no. I don't even have to do that. I got the plank. I could just make them get off the ship, right into the water. You die.
With the shotgun, bro. Shotgun. This is who got the shotgun.
And you know, you speak to it so eloquently. I mean, I think there's a lot of nuance to it because there's a certain amount of energy as you know, as a business owner that I knew that I was putting down that certainly somebody else might not be, right? So I think there's some kind of more comfortable system to make sure that everybody's, if we stay in this capitalistic type society anyway, right? That's yet to be determined. I think there's something beyond that. I mean, I'm looking at Nessara and Jessara and some pretty big trusts that were created by Saint Germain, which apparently is currently valued at more than a piece of cube that is the size of the orbit of Saturn. That's supposed to get disseminated. There's a lot of wealth out there. There's a lot of wealth. Like a millionaire or somebody with $10 million in the bank, they're not part of the 1%. 100 million in the bank, not part of the 1%. I mean, the 1%'s got more money than
they got it all, man. They collected the entire product of humanity's efforts. That was a steal, a theft, and a hoarding. Because listen, Amazon, Jeff didn't made 180 billion by himself. Those 180 billion were done by the entire Amazon team. So the natural law for that is I own the product of my own efforts. Whatever I do with my hands, I own. I own this. Everything else is a privilege. I didn't do this. This is a privilege. I didn't do this. This is a privilege. I own the product of my own efforts. At the moment that I invent a system to own somebody else's efforts, I just broke natural law. We've been doing that for centuries. Nature has never done it. They're not even able.
There's a book series that I've been reading. You're 100% on, like, this is book 6 of it, but it's the Anastasia Ringing Cedar series. And
Anastasia.
if you guys don't know this book series, like, go get it. Just get all 9 in one. Apparently, there's a 10th. I don't have the 10th. I'm looking forward to it. It talks about these natural laws. It talks about how to enact these. It talks about one I'm reading right now is not right there. It's called a New Civilization. So how we live in civilization with a model that Andres is talking about here, where we all are allotted a hectare of land, and we can use that hectare of land to create in the way that we desire to create. There's no taxes on that land. It's actually, we're sovereign beings of the planet, right? Why would we have a state own the land? Why would we have to pay the state to own the land? Maybe there's taxes on for use or sale, some kind of sales or purchase or sales tax on things, so we can build the infrastructure and stuff like that. That's kind of how I see it working. And Trump's even talking about this right now, about eliminating all these payroll taxes, right? So he's eliminating all these payroll taxes. The money's going to have to come from somewhere to pay for this stuff, which would probably be on a sales tax, which would be like a pay per use tax if there's no income tax, which was illegal anyway. It was never even ratified. So all that income tax that you've paid out through your life should be refunded to you.
I'm waiting for that letter. A letter from Coca-Cola company, McDonald's company, Nestle company, Tesla, and Facebook, Google, and Amazon saying, "Dear humanity, we are so sorry. Well, first of all, for me taking the profit that all of you guys made with your hard-earned efforts of decades of work, and I'm going to return all of the money that I collected to you, the people that made it." You know, that's one letter. And another letter, of course, from the toxic companies like Coca-Cola is like, "Dear humanity, I'm sorry that we've been just producing toxic products for decades and decades, delivering them in toxic vehicles to just leave toxic inside your body and outside your body, just so that we can fill our pockets and just hoard all of the money that comes from all of our employees, teams, staff, and clients, and all humanity. We're so sorry. So we're going to we'll return all the money and stop doing this."
It made me think of the movie Idiocracy. If you've ever seen that, like it gets to the point. I'm going to spoil it. So if you haven't seen it, I'm going to spoil it, but it's worth a watch if you can get through it. It's about Paul Rudd travels in a time machine and wakes up probably around now, and humanity has become so stupid from consuming such ridiculous information that everybody's idiots. Like, all the TV shows are about fart jokes and kicking the balls. All the food is fast food. And now they have no food growing, and they can't figure out why it's not growing.
Yeah.
It turns out that it's because they've been using Kablamo, which is like their version of Gatorade. I think that's what it's called, Kablamo. And it has electrolytes in it, right? So they think that the plants need electrolytes, but the plants don't need electrolytes, right? So they haven't been using water to grow the plants. They've just been spraying Gatorade. Well, not Gatorade.
We are there.
Kablamo on it, right?
That's where we are.
Yeah. In so many ways, and it's inspired me to like actually start planting my own seeds. Like I just read that you can't buy seeds in Michigan. Like they banned people from selling seeds in soil in Michigan at the grocery stores. I don't know if it's true. In fact, I checked it, but I like straight from the organic farm was juicing oranges, took the seeds. It's a way to encode your DNA on the seed so it makes it exactly what you want it to be. Same thing with watermelons. I took the seeds and I planted them, and watching those things sprout and watching them come to life for something for me to have and be able to, with the orange, at least be able to grow trees for my family and generations to come. That's the natural order. That is the natural order. Like, life brings about more life, yet we're doing these things that are fighting against nature for
bullshit jobs.
For jobs.
Bullshit Jobs, the book by David Graeber. Bullshit Jobs. Please read that book.
Bullshit Jobs?
Yeah, Bullshit Jobs by David Graeber. Please read that book. Bullshit Jobs. This is what typically happens out there nowadays, especially after this crisis. You're going to see very normally people going out there and say like, "Hey man, I invented a business. I'm going to make a lot of money. What are you going to be doing?" And he's going to be doing something that's completely useless and ridiculous and bullshit, but makes a lot of money. And we have a lot of that thing on the planet. We do. I mean, more than half of humans focus all their time, energy, attention into a mission that is not necessary or needed. It is just not needed, just to make money. So that's, that crashes. It's gonna crash. We crash. The movie Wall-E ends up there. That crashes. So no, look at right now we're listing the essentials. What's essential? See? Okay, now we know. We actually can survive without doing all of that bullshit jobs. So, yes, and the bullshit job is testimonies from people that they themselves say, listen, the planet is better with if I didn't do my job. The planet, so my job actually harms society and community. The thing is, I gotta do it because how am I gonna? So that has amplified into incredible quantities. We're blind to them because that problem began in the Second World War. We were already doing bullshit jobs, but we have put 7 decades on top of that of doing bullshit jobs. So we have built roads, cars, oil, brakes to go do things that we don't need to do, and we went crazy with that.
Yeah, and I'm going to play a little bit devil advocate because I love the fact that I could go visit temples in India, at least when things open up. I could get on a plane and I can go travel the world, right? Because this is what I wrestle with. Like I've got a beautiful place here, yet we're already looking at some other properties to be able to have a little more space, to be able to have our own garden and make our what Anastasia refers to as our space of love. And it's 1 hectare, and you make it's like a kin's domain. Like this book is, well, this is the book of kin, kin's domain. So for me, for my family, for my legacy, to be able to make sure that there is this space where their food is always provided, there's always clean water, there's everything they would need to live comfortably and a life in harmony with nature. And at the same time, I would like to go visit the pyramids of Giza and take in that knowledge, right? So all this technology and what these bullshit jobs have built, like I'm grateful that they got us to where we are. And I'm grateful for this reset that we're getting right now, this pause that we're getting right now to reflect and say, what is it that we're actually going to spend our money on? Like how much money do I need to spend a month to be happy? How much consumerism am I going to do? Like, and all that stuff just kind of melts away, all this frivolous stuff, and what it remains comes to the forefront. And what you may find priority may be completely different. Like I know people that are just huge into fashion and they are going to want their clothes certain way, and that makes them feel like what they adorn themselves with is something that they just love, and God bless them. Like I'm not going to say you can't have that. Maybe there's somebody that feels the same way about Coca-Cola, but I doubt it. I mean, it's just straight up drinking poison. I don't know. I wouldn't mind having it with my pizza every once in a while, but
I love Coca-Cola, bro. It's delicious, man. It's delicious. The thing is, I know it's bullshit. So it's it would be a call for consciousness and awareness of impact, and how far are we pushing the needle towards sustainability or the opposite. So there's a lot of needles pushing towards destruction of planet, and so let's learn. And let's push needles towards sustainability, of course. I was talking earlier today with a friend. He designed a house, and I told him, that's a house of the old world, where we need the servitude. You need servants with that house. See, but I don't want to have servants, and I don't want to be a servant. And I know I can live for decades without servitude. So, but in the past, let's say the typical politician requires more than, let's say, in many cases, 10 servants to sustain the house. So the thing is, these 10 servants have lost their life. They have lost their intuition, purpose, mission, project, and purpose because they're servant of another one. And that's what I don't want for anybody. These 10 people have awesome purposes, and they provide for us a way better value than just the sustenance of things that are not sustainable.
Absolutely. And that's like one of the things that Doug had commented here about getting back into his studio, setting it up, and like actually taking the time to do that. And I think everybody's got their form of their studio. It could be their garden, it could be their book, it could be doing live feeds, it could be woodworking, it could be anything, right? And even if it's just as a hobby right now, anybody watching, like, if you don't know what that is, find it. Just start practicing, start playing, playing, be curious, have wonder. If you have it and you're watching, let us know what that thing is for you. Type it in the comments, because that's going to inspire somebody else to figure out what that is, right? And the more of that there is, the more people open up to what their true nature is and their true gifts are. Because these bullshit jobs and the system that we've been indoctrinated into, the system of slavery, it really is. Andre says it all the time, like flat out, and it disrupts people. I see the comments that people say, they get so upset because like the slave doesn't even want to know they're a slave.
I know. But the alcoholic, the first, because I suffered from alcoholism for 2 decades. The first step is admitting that I am an alcoholic. The movie with Denzel Washington, A Flight. Oh my God, beautiful movie about addiction. He struggles with admitting. The first step is admitting. And the thing is, we put beautiful names on servitude. He's an employee. That's a beautiful name. No, better. He's the director of marketing, of vice president of bullshit. Those are just pretty names on the archetype of the prostitute. The archetype of the prostitute is exchange time for money, regardless of what you do, which means you pretty much sold your soul, mission, purpose, and identity to just be a servant, following orders and following the intuition of another one. That's crazy. The thing is, that's our normal current world. No, it ended in 2020, February. Yes, the new world. No, we don't need servitude. No, we don't. Otherwise, we end like the Black Empire in Star Wars. No, find out what you care for the most in your life. You can find out right now. What is it that hurts you the most? What is it that life never gave you? Find out what you care for the most in your life. Dedicate your day to that, and tomorrow, and all day, and you're going to be super happy, because that's what you care for the most. You only care for what you care. Don't ignore that. Identify it. Yes, confess to it. Confess to it. Listen, my confession is horrible. My whole purpose is driven by anger. See, anger, because I hate something. You know what I hate? Servitude. I hate servitude, man. I just hate it because I was raised like a servant. I was just fucking following orders and hammered, bro. Suicidal thoughts at 13. They treat me like a dog, like a belonging, like a pertinence, like an object. They still it's like horrible. No, man, I'm a person. I want to be what I want to be. I want to do what I want to do. I'm gonna dedicate my life to that. I love it. Every single hour I spend on it, I'm at maximum ecstasy, man. Emotional ecstasy.
I really love the way that you put that. I mean, find what upsets you the most. It's kind of the same thing as the shadow work, but it's just a nice, it's a more eloquent way to say it, for me anyway, to hear it, is finding what upsets you the most, what bothers you the most, and solving that issue by letting it churn that rage inside of you, the anger, whatever, the fear, whatever the energy is, and then you can transmute that into a solution, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely share with you the free will thing. Like, I've always been like such an advocate for free will. Everybody's their own sovereign being. And I didn't understand why people had all these rules. And I'm like, some guy in a suit made that rule up like 50 years ago. Like, they have no idea what kind of circumstances. How are you following that rule? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know this is wrong. The rule says push the button, but you're killing 500 people. I don't care. This rule says that. What is wrong with you? And I've always stood for that. And that's always been part of my purpose. And what's been revealed to me more recently is the family side. Because my family was so broken. My family is so broken in every single way. So now my priority is like giving these two right here, these two, the most exciting, wonderful,
oh my God,
magical life, like everything, and be able to grow that when we're effectively doing it for the three of us. You know, we have another baby. I think maybe we adopt something. I mean, I include the cat as part of the family too. But who knows? And then growing that out to having our friend group that can share in this. So when I look at the kin's domain, I don't look at just from blood and this union. I look at, okay, I'm looking at something bigger than what we need. I want this space. If you want to come, right? Or one of my close friends wants to, somebody that's in the vibe, in the same kind of mindset wants to come. Like, we have this space, and this part gets apportioned to them. I'm not going to pay for it for them, but we'll find a way to get them involved in it, however it is. And now they've got their spot and they can create their space of love next door. And then the whole world ripples out that way. And that's what's been feeding my heart. But that came directly from where I had the most pain, like flat out. Like my parents stayed together for 46 years, something like that. Almost, yeah, I think 36 years, 46. I think 46 years. And my mother just like up and left my father. Similar situation where she's just making up crazy stories and stole money from me, like crazy. And my sister, I've like rescued her a bunch of times, classic victim savior, like throughout my life. And it wasn't until this past year that it all like bubbled up. And I realized, oh my gosh, like one of my missions is to create this family. And I had to have this fragmented pieces. And maybe one day I can resolve everything with my sister, my mother, but they don't even talk to me right now. They just kind of took the money and ran. So it was like a big freaking blow to me. I was like, whoa, how does this happen? How does this happen? But it gave me my purpose. It made it so clear what's important to me. And so I invite everybody to look at that.
Yes.
What is it? Where is it that you see pain? And I've heard this so many times before. Like, this is not a new thing. Like, I have a friend that created a beautiful company because he was working for AT&T, like looking through numbers, and he'd have to read numbers and put them in a spreadsheet. And that was his job, just doing this data processing. This is ridiculous. So he invented the technology to read them and be able to scan them, and then he licensed it to them, and all of a sudden he had like a $12 million company overnight that solved the problem that they needed to. But it was because he was angry, like, why am I sitting here doing this ridiculous work that's a bullshit job? Just reading this, typing, tab, type, enter, like, it's a bullshit job. So any of you that have bullshit jobs, that might be your solution right there. How do you eliminate that job? How do you automate that?
Robot. Not a sheep, a robot.
Yeah. So another thing to consider is the word employee comes from the word employ, which literally means to use. So I'm a usee.
You're a UC.
Like, it's straight. It's not. They're not even hiding it.
Yeah.
Straight to the point.
But we're blind to it because it's so super normal.
Well, you got to have a job, right? Otherwise, you're a loser.
I say your employment is not your work. Your employment is what doesn't let you do your work.
That's a great way to put it. I have a short parable that I want to just share for everybody. I see Dawg shared a link here on topic of humanity as debt slaves. Definitely we'll look at it. There's a lot of information on this and the fractional bank system and how this works. And I invite everybody to investigate for yourself to see how it is.
Zeitgeist movie.
Yeah, Zeitgeist. Yeah. Okay, there's the sledgehammer for you. Watch all three Zeitgeists.
Yeah.
So I was reading in Anastasia, and she goes back 25,000 years. And she talks about people as pagans or villagers, which ironically is where the word villain comes from, by the way. So they vilified being a villager, said they were uncivilized.
Nasty.
Yeah, so that's where that word villain comes from, is being a villager to get people into cities uncivilized, right? So 25,000 years ago, there was everybody was working in harmony with nature. Everybody was equal. Everybody was living in this space of love, as I was talking about before, kind of this way of living. And when a couple got married, like, they saw each other and it was like, boom, went over, like, I want to create a space of love with you. The other person was like, yeah, let's do it. It didn't matter. The man could do it. The woman could do it. It didn't matter who did it. If they agreed, boom, they were allocated. They could go pick a hectare of land from nearby. And their wedding was everybody coming to the wedding ceremony from that village and surrounding areas. Before they went, the couple would stay in their space of love, and they would look around and see what they wanted to create there. And they'd really plan it out, like actually think about how they wanted to live the rest of their life, what they want to be surrounded by. And they might go around the village and go to, the neighbor's house and be like, I really like that you have a beautiful cherry tree. And that was like a signal to that person to say, bring a cherry tree to my wedding. Or you have the best goats in town. Bring a goat. The wedding gift actually was something from these people's land, and they would bring it to the space of love the new couple was creating. And they wouldn't just bring it. Part of the ceremony was for them to plant the trees and help them build it and help set this couple up in this way that really built the foundation for them to create a space of love that would be eternal in harmony with nature. And everybody was happy, right? So that was kind of the way that was structured. And then all of a sudden came along one guy that was a priest and said, you guys are uncivilized. And to pray to God, we got to build me a temple. Actually, in her story, there was 13 of them that were going around, or 12 of them, something like that. And one priest got left out because there wasn't enough people to build that number of temples. And they kept rotating. And what it did was it started to separate, man got separated from his own internal divine beingness and started seeing God as something outside. Then came along and said,
fuck shit.
By the way, this is going to be your ruler. He's going to tell you what to do. He's ordained by God, right? A monarchy. This one person is ordained by God, or a pharaoh.
Who
right?
did that?
So this priest says he's the one that's got the divine order by God. Now, what that actually did was it put the priest to the side. The priest was no longer the center of attention, but he was telling the ruler everything to do. So he was free. If floods came or famine came, it was the ruler's fault. The priest stayed on the side and was the real direct channel to God. But this way, he was safe. He was absolutely safe. So
it's like a pretty expert narcissist.
Oh, yeah, brilliant. He was able to hold this vision. Brilliant, right? Brilliant. He was so brilliant. But he was getting people to hold an image of in their mind. And now the faith that this person was the ruler and the one that leads them is the faith that creates the image, the agreement that creates the reality that now we have this hierarchy. And the priest, though, was smart enough to be on the side of this, so he was never under scrutiny. And the priest was now watching as the ruler had all these slaves carrying bricks all over the place and moving things. And the slaves were just, they get tired and they weren't very motivated. They get fed, they get housed, but, they weren't really making things happen. And one of the slaves in particular had this like light in his eyes and he seemed happy all the time. The priest was like, I don't know about this guy. So he took off his wig and his garb and stuff like that, and he made the guards put him next to this slave so he could watch what was going on with this guy. And the guy, not knowing that he was the priest, they became fast friends, and the priest was like, so what are you up to? And the guy told him, like, when the army goes out to fight in battle, we're going to revolt on the guards because there's only one guard for every 10 of us. We're going to use our chains as weapons and take them captive, and we'll have the time. And I'm shortening this up because there's a lot of detail in here.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is that the priest starts thinking to himself, well, let me just keep asking questions. And he dives in. And the guy has this really thought through. And he says, well, what are you going to do with the priests? He goes, the priests stay. They don't do anything. We'll become the rulers. And the people that were holding us captive, the guards, will become the slaves. That was all they had in their mind. And the priest was like, shit, I don't even have to let the ruler know this is going to happen. I can let it happen. And I'm covered, right? And this cycle will complete itself constantly over and over. Then as the priest thought about it more and more, he was thinking about, how do I get more productivity out of this? And he said, you know what? Let's make everybody free. we won't need to have guards anymore. And we'll reward them with 1 coin for every block that they bring. They can carry this big stone that we need, and we'll give them a small piece of silver or whatever metal coin it was. And the people now became motivated. The people now had to feed themselves. They now had to house themselves. Then all of a sudden, they were getting so many coins that they didn't even want to stop to eat, so they were paying other people to bring them food. And then all of a sudden, if they were hurt, they were paying somebody to heal them. So the state didn't have to do this anymore. Yet they had everybody bringing them what they needed. And all they were doing was dishing out this pile of coins that they already had all along. And so begun the illusion of the economy that we have now.
Yeah.
We all became servants to this master. And now those priests, they live on their lineage. You know, if you look up the Levites, or if you look up, you know, the Federal Reserve, and there's more stories we can go into it, and how Jesus came to deprogram the Levites to stop perpetuating this. And that's why he spoke directly to the Jews. He was Jewish, and that's where this came from. But there's a lot of breakdown in this thinking, and we all became slaves because we wanted the coin versus
Fucking shit. Fucking shit.
Instead of being connected to nature and connected to each other. It's insane.
It's insane. I mean, I gotta be grateful for servitude because it gives me my purpose on what to do. Otherwise, I would be focused on another thing, which would probably be adventure motorcycles and surfing.
You should be here with me.
Exactly, man. You're in one of my favorite places, bro. Total paradise.
So that's the story of how it came to be, and that's what we are liberating ourselves from right now. I think, you know, 17 million people out of jobs overnight.
Yeah.
Maybe they start taking your advice.
Well, dude, that's what I'm here to do. I'm like, just like, yeah, man, just fucking call me. It'll be a pleasure, you know, to set you guys up, you know, with a world without subjugation. Yeah, you do one only thing in life. What? Your greatest creation. You're the greatest creation of your life. You pour all into it, all your time, minute, attention, money, sweat, tears, blood, sweat, piss into it, so that the creation grows and grows forever. And you become a master, and you become a master that grows, and your creation grows. And your creation provides more value than you can and earns more money than you can, even without your presence. Like Elvis Presley still earning money, and he's dead. So you see, his creation was wonderful. He's a great creator. He created, 100 songs. They're there. They provide more value than he can, you know, and they earn more money than he can. Fucking great creator, Elvis Presley. Thank you so much, man. Woo! So yes, every person is a great creator, just like Elvis. Some of them start with pen and paper, like Walt Disney, pen and paper, boom, his empire. Like the comedian Jerry Seinfeld, pen and paper, wrote jokes, boom, $1 billion. So yeah, this is for everybody. You don't have to be in servitude, and you own all of the work that you do. You own your work. You own your creation. You own your product. You own your greatest creation. Work on your greatest creation.
And there's too many rags to riches stories to ever have the excuse, like, I don't have enough money.
You need pen and paper. Pen and paper.
Education. I don't have that. And
1 hour a day. 1 hour a day.
Yeah, and if you're watching this, you have a device where you can speak, and you can use that as a platform. You can make a podcast.
Yeah.
If you don't like writing, even though moving the hand, 14,000 movements to handwrite something. It's like 140. No, it's 40 to type. 40 movements to typing, 14,000. Which do you think is a stronger manifesto to bring from the spiritual world into the physical world? Which one's actually putting something onto something tangible, right? What's actually making something real?
Exactly, man.
So yeah, the pen and paper is Pen is mightier than the sword, as they say. Right?
Pen and paper. Look at my work. I don't know what work Wiz does, but this is work.
You were being called to go in nature and take some mushrooms.
Yeah, I don't know, you know. So yeah, man, pen and paper, man. Go pen and paper. Look at my work. What it looks like, man. What is? Yeah, yeah.
$1 billion right there.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
I see it.
We got to talk about the news.
Yeah, you want to talk a little about the news?
Very easy. I like keeping in my mind the most comfortable version for myself. The most comfortable. Why? So that I am in comfort and I can do my work. I don't like keeping in my mind a horrible version. So I just go towards the comfortable one. And I get the comfortable from Sasha Stone. Sasha is just, I wish light workers, rabbits, coaches, awakening brothers, hippies, and those had structures of leadership and work, but we don't really. But actually, some of them actually do really. So the three waves of awakening, probably the last ones were 2020, 2008, and 9/11 in 2001. So some people have been awake for 20 years, some 10, and some 0, some 1, let's say. And some of those have been 20. So Sasha is the 20. He was a rock and roll artist, worked in United Nations, so got a taste and learned about the inside of the structure to say it's crappy enough to leave it and start working on his own outside. So he created Humanitat, which I don't know what it does, but it does work for humanity. And then he created New Earth Nation, New Earth Project, New Earth Haven, and the International Tribunal of Natural Justice, which are all projects on how can we live on Earth naturally, without subjugation, without all of the toxic ingredients that the society of the current society that we have and the society of Darth Vader has. You know, how can we live like animals? You know, indigo, like just harmony with nature, with the place, with all of the kingdoms of minerals, vegetables, animals, humans, and souls. So they dedicate their all their time, energy, attention, money to that. They don't collect profit from these missions. So let's say just looking at the guidelines of New Earth Nation, New Earth Project, the rules, the laws, it's beautiful work. Their buildings are built with sacred geometry. So you're just by being with organic material, you're just by being in the building, you're already being healed. It's really beautiful. The subject is endless. We can go on this forever. But I just happen to trust what Sasha says because his network is trustworthy, you know? I trust him as a leader. Yes, I would love to learn of more leaders from that side of, from the conscious world on here on Earth, just to learn more. So I just happen to trust him. Whoever he trusts, I trust. I like his story. It's beautiful. It leaves me in peace. It lets me see the future, focus on what we want to build, and be the change. Yeah, watch the movie. I saw it again yesterday, Gandhi in Netflix. In Be the Change You Want to Be, such a beautiful movies right now in Netflix. Gandhi, watch there's beautiful learnings to take from that, and we probably should do another video after watching that movie on the learnings from that movie, because Gandhi did what we want to do right now. Gandhi achieved the problem that we currently have in society. Gandhi achieved it with love, and his belongings were only two things: his clothes on his body and the machine to make them. That was it. Guy is the example. It's right there. Thank you, brother, so much, man. Like, that's the invitation.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, definitely. I'll add that to the watch list, and we'll do. I think we should do more of these conversations. I appreciate you being here. I really enjoyed this. Thank you, Doug and Sean, and awesome for commenting here and letting us know that you're on over here. And yeah, we'll do more of these. And feel free if you watch this and you want to be, and we want to bring more people on, like we can definitely do that. And got everybody's voice on here because it matters. Your voice really, 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 really matters. It's important even when you might disagree with us, because it's going to open up our minds to a new paradigm. So thanks again. Happy Easter, you know, to you.
And happy end of the world and happy beginning of the world.
Yeah. New Earth here is now.
Yeah, man.
God,
Yeah,
God bless you, brother.
I'm gonna be sharing this video with my people. Where can they find you?
Well, this is broadcasted on Evolved Life and the Evolved Life YouTube
Yeah, but I'm
page.
gonna steal the video.
Okay, I'll send you a copy of it.
Yeah.
Oh, so just the Evolved Life page or just on Facebook, Ian Gray. Just find me.
Okay.
I'm not selling
Right.
anything. I don't have any programs. Well, I've got some free stuff on my page, like how to belief hack and stuff like that. We have our Heaven on Earth book where it really helps somebody to hone in on what it is that they want to create in their life and do it from an envisioning perspective and manifesting from heart intentions versus the action. But the big piece of it is pen and paper. So it's a small portion of giving people some perspective and ways to organize and think about their thoughts, and then straight down to, okay, this is what I'm creating in my life here and now, and a methodology of bringing that into reality so that it's not work, that it's not a job. And that's how I've always created. It's like I put it down, I know exactly what I want to get clear on it, and sitting, holding my heart intention, it shows up for me. And so, if I want to build a wall, for example, keep using this example, I'm going to have somebody show up to build me a wall. This is really what happens is like, I'll put it down, I'll define what it is specifically, and I'll sit down and I'll just envision it in my mind, hold it with my heart intention. And all of a sudden somebody will show up and be like, I hear you need a wall built, or I have material, would you like a wall built? And I'm like, oh, hey, I've been expecting you. I was using this example on things that I didn't want to manifest, and all of a sudden, I had people showing up on the street yelling weird shit at me that I never I don't even know you. Like, why are you calling me fuckface? Oh, I used that example yesterday. So, yeah, so it's pretty magical. So check that out on Amazon. Heaven on Earth. Yeah, Amazon. That book, Heaven on Earth.
Heaven on Earth.
Yeah.
Heaven on Earth.
Heaven on Earth. Emily and I wrote it together.
I came across Amazon. I came across an idea which is powerful, which is whatever we buy on Amazon, if we find it on Amazon, look for the producer of Heaven on Earth directly to see if you can buy directly from them, so that we stop sending profit to Amazon.
Yeah, they just do their self-publishing, so it's actually more inexpensive to produce it and sell it through them than it is to produce it. And
it's an idea, it's a concept which is powerful, because it will enable us all to keep our profits instead of giving it to Jeff Bezos for him to fuck around with his friends and do vaccines or bullshit.
Yeah, it's feeding the beast.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not to feed the beast. Yeah.
Don't feed the beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another topic. So,
yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Andres. God bless you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Blessings to all your families. And maybe we'll see you next week or something. God bless.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for the invitation. It was awesome.